In life, Liverpool versus everybody. In life, when you lose, but you don't get what you wanted to get, what you set out to get, when someone's just better than you, it's best to just come out there and say it. It's best to just come out and say, listen, this team did what they had to do to get their victory. Um, I think if I knew that the Madrid players were going to spend a great deal of time rolling and tumbling around on the ground as if they've been hurt seriously or shot, falling out. I mean, this is what PSG do, led by Neymar. We get that. Um, you can't then after the game come out and say, "Oh, the refing wasn't great and guys were diving on the ground." I agree with Thomas Tuchel. Klopp is doing a lot of deflecting. The team wasn't ready. Your boys that you set out, they weren't ready for this game. And I wonder if you were. I wonder if Klopp was. I mean, listen, I've already spoken about it. I already knew it was going to happen. Or I should say, I had a pretty good idea that we wouldn't play 4-2-3-1. But why didn't we? Why weren't we attacking more than we were? Why didn't we attack more? Why did we only have one shot on target? Um, what are we doing for that first goal? Those are the things that if I'm the manager, I'm thinking about, not a bad display of officiating from the refs. I'm sorry. Because whether that's true or not, that the maybe the few moments where the ref was a little too free kick giving happy. I mean, he was just every time I turn around, he was giving a free kick. I get it. The rolling around the field, I get it. The antics of Neymar. I mean, Liverpool fans are hilarious to me, man. It's like why is he a prick? This is what he does. He shows off. He falls all over the pitch. He causes a great deal of anger from his opponents. Beat him then. Beat him. Don't after the game say, "Oh, Neymar's a prick." Is he a prick? To me, the manager of our team and the players on that pitch last night are the pricks. No one else. There's no hiding place. There's no you can't run away from yet again another away performance that was just terrible. It was terrible. That's what it was. It was a terrible performance. Um, and that's what it comes down to. All of this excuse making it's really embarrassing, man. It's really bad to see, and I think Klopp does that a bit too much in some of these games. And I know you're disappointed. You didn't win the game. You lost to PSG. It probably feels especially um, even heavier for him. He probably would never admit it, but I think there is somewhat of a rivalry, so to speak, between him and Tuchel. So Tuchel got one over him. And PSG were impressive defensively, which I didn't really see happening. They played really well defensively. But again, I think when you pressure a team like PSG, because they're not really pressured on a regular basis in France, that's just the truth of the matter. I'm not here to say France is full of farm teams and be disrespectful like other people are. I think the French league is probably better than we imagine. But when you put a team like PSG with all that money and they're so high on the table, and every other team is just, you know, substantially lower, then you know that's what it is. But I don't know what I can't I don't know what the game plan was. The first 30, 45 minutes, you don't have an idea of what the plan is that your team is doing. You're kind of just watching the game thinking, and everything just happened before us, and I just couldn't believe it. The first goal, I don't know what we're doing there. The second, again, it was just too quick. It was too easy for PSG to get through and do what they wanted to do in large parts of that game. Um, and then a game where you really need your defense to step up and be more or less the mainstay as it's been this season, at least in the league. We just weren't great. And now in the second half, they didn't really get much, if anything, that I can remember. But Allison had to make a few saves. I thought he was amazing on the day. Um, again, the goals that we conceded, um, you can question the keeper. You always can. Anytime a goal goes in the net and there's a keeper there, you can always question that. But The defense just wasn't great, and I don't even know if it was a personnel situation. Like I don't know if Trent was in and it was Virgil and Gomez would have been better. I don't know that that's true. Um, all I know is that you know the defense wasn't at the levels that they had been all season. But neither was I mean nobody was really. Nobody was. And again, I've spoken about it. You need your big time players to step up in these games, and we just really didn't. We really didn't. And again, you got guys like James Milner, whatever, and Robertson, and saying how it wasn't enough. Damn it, we know it's not enough. But why? Listen, Naby Keita needs to play. He came on, had way more dribbles. I mean, I don't even know what minute he came on, but he came on late and had more dribbles than anyone in the midfield. He played what, 20 minutes, if that? Unacceptable. Unacceptable. And you saw as soon as he came in, he was making a difference. He put a pass or two, not great. I think maybe it was one pass in particular on Tamana that wasn't a good pass, and that kind of stunted a moment that we could have had. But as soon as he came on, he was electric, in my opinion, from what I saw, and I thought that he could be a threat. So again, it's clear that as much as I think Klopp values the newer midfielders that we have, he seems a bit more. He seems more inclined to go the safer way in some of these games, and I'm just not understanding why. I don't know why we wouldn't go all out attack. I don't know why Shaqiri is not playing from the jump. And you go into a game and you respect what Klopp does, and as I said, you get behind it, thinking that he sees something I don't see. Okay, once the game plays out, you have to go back and question. It's just like, wait, I mean, I just don't know why we wouldn't be just all out attacking this team. Um, I think there's a rhyme and reason to this kind of almost pragmatic approach to the league season, and for sure. And I think the way we're going about getting wins there, getting results there is good. I enjoy that. In Europe, though, you've got to be able to switch that off. You got to be able to turn that off and turn back on this very almost chaotic, fast paced, in your face, gegenpress, mean, hungry. And I just didn't see that. I just didn't see that. And that's highly disappointing. It's highly disappointing because, again, they were average at best, PSG. Um, but they just took advantage of the few moments that they had. You know what I mean? And that's the story of the match. Liverpool did not. I mean, the A game just wasn't present. They did not bring their A game last night, and this run of away matches in the Champions League. Say what you want to say. There's people who want to doctor it up and say, well, we have a terrible form away in the Champions League. That's just what it is. There's no need to sugarcoat it, try to make up a different way. I don't need to read an article that has a different way of looking at it. No. We are pretty bad away from home. Um, and I mean, goal scoring isn't great. The defending isn't great. I mean, it's just, I mean, a penalty from Milner is your only glimmer of, I mean, that's just not good. So again, I mean, I want to hear Klopp come out and say what he feels like went wrong in this game. Not blaming the refs, not talking about guys going down as if they were killed and then jumping back up, or whatever it was that he said, um, and directly after the game. And I get it. After the game, you're hot. I mean, I come on here and say some things that when I had time to think about it, I not necessarily regret it, but I realized that there were some other things maybe I missed, and just being emotional about it, I came out raw and whatever. So I get it, but you're not gonna. I mean, the ref and the falling on the ground, and all that to me. Listen, this is what PSG do. You still got to beat them, And if we did, we had to do it and beat them. I don't think Klopp really hangs his hat on that, or maybe in light of that, he'll kind of chuckle at it and say, they made it difficult. They did these things, these antics, and we still were able to win. So that, but either way, it's just this is with Neymar, PSG, all of them, all of them. I mean, every one of those players at some point was rolling around on the ground, besides maybe Buffon. It felt like literally all of their play, and I get it. There should have been a red card from Varady. It should have been. That's a red card challenge all day. But you can't allow these things to affect you in a game. You know what I mean? Like that. That everyone who saw that knows that's a red card all day. We didn't get it. We didn't get it. But you got to keep fighting. You got to keep playing. You cannot let these and that's this is what they want to do, frustrate you, milk the clock. Hope that it affects you and it takes you out of your game because you're so enraged, you're so mad. Um, it's all part of what they do. It's all part of what they do. And if you think for one minute their manager isn't in support of that or doesn't think that that's um, kind of part of the dark arts that they were going to try to do, you're mistaken. I think when you see players do this, this is something that they probably do on their own, yes, but it's definitely something that I believe the managers support as well. Buy that little bit extra time, roll around, scream to the top of your lungs, act like you're really hurt. Um, let's get level. Let's find every little margin of advantage to beat this team. And they milked every bit of it. They milked every bit of it. Um, so yeah, out and have those excuses. I'm sorry, you can't. You can't talk about refs. You can't talk about antics, behaviors because someone who just started watching football could see from the opening moment that okay, this is what these guys are gonna do. We see it. Almost every 5-10 minutes of play, one of their players is on the floor. We know that, but you gotta keep fighting through it, and you gotta just keep playing. You gotta get the result, and we didn't. We didn't do that. So, but yeah, I want to see more of Naby, and I really, really hope. I don't know what he's gonna do with the midfield come Sunday, but again, it's another big test. Everton are gonna be ready. I believe it's at Anfield, and if it is, yeah, Everton will be marching into Anfield, expecting to win. I think I don't see why they shouldn't. I think they are doing pretty well right now, feeling themselves. Got a nice roster of players. Got a decent manager, um, kind of pushing the ship there. So it'll be another tough game, and I just need to see after these results like this, which you hate to continue to be saying this in Europe. Um, I wanted to see something better than Red Star, and honestly, I just don't know if I did. And that may seem harsh. Yeah, but who wasn't terrible yesterday, bro? I mean, that's my opinion. Welcome, by the way. Thanks for coming on. But I mean, Firmino was terrible. Yes, he was. He was. I don't know if he was that much more terrible, that much more so than a few other guys. I mean, no one, in my opinion, besides the goalkeeper, and that sounds strange saying because we conceded 2 goals, but besides the goalkeeper, nobody else really held themselves in glory. They just really didn't. Um, and that's really frustrating to see because again, you know, it starts to make you start to think about last season in the group stage, and you know, in a group stage we had a pretty it was an easier way to go. That's just what it was. It was an easier way to go. This group stage is clearly much tougher. Um, so I find it really interesting that people are very much the and I don't know if this is just being optimistic and maybe it's just confidence. Maybe Liverpool fans are just telling themselves this. The reality is we have a difficult game now against Napoli. It was always going to be a difficult game, whether we were flying high on top of the group or whatever. Like playing Napoli was always going to be a tough game. There's all these different scenarios of you beat them 1-0 good. If you get 2-1, I don't maybe you don't go through. There's all these. Apparently, we got to beat them by 2 goals. I think is what it that's what it comes down to. And I just love how this, for the most part, this overriding view of oh yeah we'll do that instead of Anfield. I don't know where that attitude comes from. It's hilarious to me. This is Napoli. This is not Maribor or this is Napoli. So I don't home or not. That's going to be a tough game, a tough out, and probably more difficult than we'd imagine. So I guess the one that I mean, listen, we haven't At home, we've been pretty good, right? We've been pretty good. The wins that we have come at home, obviously. Hopefully, we can make it three. Beat PSG there, we beat Red Star at Anfield. So, I mean, hopefully, maybe that's what people are going on. Like, maybe they think that at home we're pretty much mustard money for the win. Um, Napoli have a good team in general. They have an excellent, yeah, they have a good defense, but also midfield. I mean, every part of that pitch for me, there's world class talent in all three phases of the pitch. Koulibaly, of course, in the back, Alon in the middle, or even I forget the other guy's name in the midfield there. Guy with the mohawk. Anyway, Dries Mertens up top. I mean, they got a Insigne. I mean, they got some nice pieces. So again, we've this is what we come down to. Hamstick, thank you. This is what we come down to, and it's this is for it all. And so I want to segue quickly to and just I'm not going to talk too much about it, but the Merseyside derby, obviously that's coming up this Sunday, I believe. More than enough time in between the games to get things right. It's typical Liverpool doing things the hard way. Yeah, that's why I say I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if we got through just like we just got into the top four past couple seasons. We just passed in, so and that is what it is. Liverpool do things the hard way, and far too much for my liking, in moments. So, if we get it, great. In the Champions League, you don't want to go to Europa though, not because it's embarrassing necessarily, only that, but it's just more strain put on us, especially if we're trying to do things in the league. So if we get Europa, does Klopp just bomb it and play kids essentially? Um, or not. I don't know. But our way from in the Champions League in Europe, it needs to change quickly. It needs to change quickly, and we need to find a midfield away from home that we can depend on, that we can lean on. I don't want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know, and I'll continue to say I trust Klopp and I'm behind his choices. But specifically in the Champions League against attacking teams, I don't want to see that Brexit plus one midfield again. I don't want to see the Hendo, Milner, and Genie again. Please, I don't want to see that. I don't think a midfield of Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Milner work. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, especially at home, maybe, and against maybe not as pacey of a midfielding team, then maybe. But you against PSG, against like you don't want to see them against Juventus or Barcelona. I mean, you want to see a team that's attacking and come out there and really try to match these teams blow for blow. That midfield is just it's just not there. I won't say it lacks quality. I think there's all three of them have quality in them. But I hear what you're saying, and I think I know what you're saying. There's no real, there's not a huge amount of creativity, um, and ability to just make things happen. It's a very workman situation. It's a very defensive, dare I say, midfield, I think. And so, none of those guys are you really hanging your hat on moving forward, attacking, you know, um, carrying the ball deep into the opposition's defense. You don't really see that in any of those guys. And Genie kind of stutters with it. He does a lot of pump faking with it. Like you can see parts of the game where he will do that, and he looks like he might want to take that initiative, but then he pulls back. And I don't know if that's more of what Klopp wants him to do or what, but again, Naby needs to see the pitch more. I don't care about the language barrier. I don't give a damn. Fuck all that at this point. Excuse my language. I don't care about the language. The lack of him, which I get it. In Germany, he knows he's coming here. Why isn't he taking English courses? Maybe he was, and it's just he hasn't really gotten it as fast as he would have wanted to. But I get all that. But you got to put him in the game, man. Naby needs to start playing, and Fab needs to start playing on a regular basis. Same with Shaq. I mean, so gotta fix up, gotta work it out. I mean, you expect to see Genie pretty consistently still, but again, maybe you rest him a little bit too, and just play these guys that you bought that have the talent to play, the skill to play. Put them in. Yeah, we need to see more. Like I get this whole kind of you want to be safe, you want to be careful, but I agree with you, man. I think you got to take a bit more risk, and with those players, you're going to see more risk being taken. Clearly you trust your defense, so take a few more risks. You know what I mean, and just be sound defensively. I don't know, man. I think the 4-2-3-1 is the way to go. in a lot of these games moving forward. Really, I know the 4-3-3 for him gives him a bit more balanced feeling. I think he feels more balanced with that, aka more safe with that. But we got to see a bit more. I think we got to see a bit more. I think so. That's about it for me, man. Merseyside Derby obviously is coming up. I'll talk more about that between now and the game. Um, but yeah, some serious looking in the mirror. And again, it's not. This is not throwing a towel, panic mode, or anything like that. But the performances need to improve away from home in the Champions League. And these guys got to really look in the mirror, man, Klopp and the whole squad, and really figure out what it is they're trying to do in Europe this season. If they're not valuing that, if they don't want to take that serious, they want to focus only on the league and at some point the FA Cup, then cool. But let me know, because some of these away performances, they just look like they can't be bothered. You know what I mean? And I mean the best players on our team they end up looking average. And some of that credit goes to the opposing team. But I mean, I don't think the teams that we've lost to in this group are better than us. I don't think PSG are better than us. I don't think Red Star is better than us. I don't think Napoli is better than us. They're probably, I think, better than the other two teams that we've lost to. Um, but I think we're the best team in this group, and we've definitely struggled to show that this season. You know, we've definitely shown a struggle to show that. So, got to fix up. We get it. Why are we worrying about the other teams' attack? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's a bit too much respect, and I think, and again, when I saw that lineup, again, okay, I'm thinking this should be enough to win, but you're also thinking that midfield, whew, I mean, that could be really tough. That could be really tough trying to stop what they have in attack with that midfield. Um, it just didn't seem. It felt like we would struggle in that area of the pitch. It felt like that, And for as good as Milner and Genie both have been this season, especially Milner, we know what his limitations are. I mean, he's gonna bust a gut for you. You know what I mean? Like he's one of the most fittest footballers I've seen at Liverpool. So we get that he's gonna run all day. You got to run all day in this team under this manager, but you need more than running. You need some decisive decision making, some game changing moments. I mean, I think him hitting the penalties it could have potentially been game changing, but it wasn't. But you know what I mean? Open play. He's not a guy that's gonna grab the. He'll do a lot of directing and yelling and captaining, and so will Henderson. But are they gonna rescue a game for you? No. So anyway, we continue to learn, or hopefully we're learning from these bad performances, and hopefully it's something that we don't have to continue to see in the Champions League. Um, I'm really glad that we're not seeing these performances by and large. Yeah, we're not seeing these performances in this way in the league. Um, you know, for the most part, we're handling our business. But even, we know what happened against a few of the top teams that we went against. You know what I mean? Some of them just scraping draws. And that's cool. You do what you got to do and need a little bit of luck in a long season and everything like that. But we have got to be better, especially when we're playing against these quote unquote top teams. With world class names. Sorry, but yeah, I'm running late for work, so I got to get out of here. I just wanted to come in, kind of vent a little bit, but a measured vent. I didn't want to use too many explicitives. I'm really really hot and heated and disappointed what Liverpool are doing away in the Champions League. Just in general in the Champions League, really. I mean, what we did to Red Star in that first game, you're supposed to do that. Even the PSG game at home, although we looked really good, why did it have to finish 3-2? We go again, yeah. So on that note, I'll see you guys soon.